All
We're
right,
live.
we are. Yeah, so today we are talking about creating a name or creating a powerful name because you don't just get a name from nowhere, right? It's something you have to work on, it's something you have to create. So we want to
hmm
just talk a little bit about that, how to create a name.
hmm
As
So
usual, yeah, it's
that's
on you.
nice.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, it's very possible to. I mean, the first thing is to know that names are made. Um, Even names that you would. I mean, maybe because you were born to hear of those names. Even those names were made. And then um, and then some other people get the advantage of a name that somebody else made it. All right, so those names are made. All right, and one of the proofs that names are made, like I always kind of take this conversation to the root of it, is even though Jesus is God and he came to this earth, he he had to prove who he was through his daily manifestation. Sorry. He had to prove who he was, and it was as his name grew. It says, the scripture says, his name grew. So so those your name is not just it, it's not. Even Jesus had to, his name had to expand. And then people started hearing, and more people started hearing about it. So that's just the first place, that people have to understand that you have to be very intentional about creating a powerful name. All right. So I'm going to, talk about some of the things that you can do to create a powerful name. One of it is speak about it, announce yourself, announce your name. Before Jesus was born, his name was announced, right? He was announced. So a baby is going to be born. He's going to be born in a manger. They kept talking about it. Kept talking about it. So that powerful name, uh, that name that you want, all right, keep speaking about it. Keep talking. Keep talking about yourself and your name in respect to where you want the name to be or to go. All right, what you envisage, what you can see, you can get. So you have to keep seeing yourself in that place. All right. So if you want to be known as the if you want to be known as the millionaire, as a billionaire, as a trillionaire, or as the best in a sector or in something, just keep speaking about your name. Just keep calling your name and talking about yourself in that light.
You
So you
know, let me interject
Yeah.
here. Is Norman Vincent Peale that said the power of positive thinking, right? Many
Mm-hmm.
people usually stop at the thinking. They don't go into affirmations. If you stop at
Uh-huh.
thinking, well, thinking is a good step toward achieving your vision, but it doesn't stop there. You have to, and I think that is what you are talking about, the power of affirmations. You have to affirm. And you talked about you have to speak it, and that is usually the problem. That is usually why I would say 99% of people I believe every human being has a vision because we are
Yeah,
created in the image of God. It's just
yeah.
that 99.9% don't live to actualize their vision. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that is where people usually stop. It's not like as if people do not have visions. It's just that they don't affirm, right? They may be thinking it. And
Yeah,
somebody once said the richest place on earth is the
it's in
grave.
the graveyard. You're right.
That is where talents and gifts and what have you
Oh,
are
yeah,
buried. So I think that is
yeah,
very important to
yeah.
say that you
Mm-hmm.
have to start not just visualizing, not just thinking, but you have to concretely affirm. And sometimes people, this issue of affirmation, if you have never tried it, you would think it's so weird, right? People would
Yeah.
think, people would say,
Like just talking to
look
yourself.
at me, my bank account is reading red. Why should I be calling myself a millionaire? Isn't that
Yeah,
weird? And but if you
yeah.
don't do that, you don't get there, right?
Yes,
If you don't
yes.
affirm it, the power of our words, and I think that is great that you are including this. Yeah.
Yeah. So you create a name by telling people what you want it to be. So you keep telling people, all right, someday I'm going to be this. I mean, forget about what people think. I mean, it's in the sense that people can say you're braggadocious, you're, economic, whatever name they, only time will clarify that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And by then you'd be exactly what you want it to be.
And let
So
me also, yeah, go
mhm.
ahead. Sorry.
No, no, never mind. I think I'm
No,
done.
I wanted to say, I mean, this point you also raise, you have to speak it, and
Yeah.
people may actually call you other names that you don't want for yourself. They may say you're
Absolutely.
braggadocious, you are arrogant, egoistic,
Mm-hmm.
narcissistic, and what have you,
Ambitious or too
ambitious.
ambitious.
But here is the reality. Your mind actually works. It listens to you,
Uh-huh.
right? Your mind
It's
listens to
hearing
you,
it, it's
especially
hearing
your
you.
your subconscious mind listens to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you put yourself out there, and somebody will say, well, I'm just nursing my plan in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Many people nurse their plans in their hearts and they never do
So they
anything.
that
But there is
exactly.
something about you stepping out and saying, I'm gonna do something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
do something. When you step out and say, I'm gonna do something, it automatically something in your mind. I didn't study neuroscience, but I'm not a neuroscientist, but I've done a lot of studies about the subconscious mind, the mind, and all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if something in your mind shifts, right? It's as if something in your mind shifts. It's like, oh, if I don't do this, I've already said I'm gonna do it. I'm already committed to this, so I just
Yeah.
have to do it. And I think
To
that is
do it.
powerful. The way you are putting it, it's important for people to understand that you have to talk about it.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Have you ever thought about buying a car or owning something, and all of a sudden you start to notice how many people have that same car, and you have been, you've been going on the road and you never noticed the car even. Maybe you never even noticed somebody owned it until the day you say, you know what, I like this car. I think I'm going to consider buying it. Then all of a sudden you would see 100 more people that have that car, no
It's
matter
like
what kind of
everyone.
car it
It's like
is.
everyone has the car.
All of a sudden it's like everybody has it, and you're wondering, oh my goodness, I
Mhm,
thought I was just the only one that thought about it.
mhm.
So um another example I'll give you, and an anecdote you always ask for, is it's just like this book that we're talking about. I just recently, I never, I always thought writing a book was for scholars, and you know, it's always for the other person, not you. It was never something that concealed in my spirit or in my heart until one day I started realizing that writing a book is really about, not that I realized it from obviously the group of persons that I was in relationship with. And they started talking about writing a book. And I then came to the fact that writing a book is really about putting on paper what you know. That's really what it is. It's not a scientific yeah, of course there's some books that are research, are for certain research purpose and all that, but there are some books that are just for you to pass on knowledge, all right, to pass on inspiration, motivation,
If you can
etc.
think and imagine, you can write a book.
You can write a book. And but I didn't stop at that. Then I started saying to myself, I started writing it in my book. I started, because I repeat, and there's the power of repetition. So I started repeating, I'm an author, I'm a bestseller author, I'm a bestseller author. I just started writing it. And I remember listening to this lady, what's her name now? Oh my goodness. She's quite popular. But she wrote Everything is figureable, figure figureoutable. It's kind of Maria Folio. All right.
Oh,
And she said that before she wrote that book, she every day for about a year or so, she wrote, I'm a bestseller author. I'm a bestseller author 20 times, in the morning and in the evening, in the morning and in the evening. And she became a bestseller author. Her book became a New York bestseller. So the point is, for you to create that name that you want, when the moment you have and imagined, like we said, everything is hinged on purpose. So the understanding your purpose is important. But the moment you know where you're going with the name, and you don't have to know it in full, in the sense that as you grow, your vision expands. All right. So the as much as you can see, speak about that. When you get there, you speak about it more. All right. In one of the courses that I do, where I teach people how to create their success blueprint. One of in that course, we teach people specifically about vision. That vision is for an appointed time. So vision is not an open-ended thing. Vision must have a time of manifestation. All right. Unlike most people just say, oh, I have a vision and this vision just seems to be unending. No, it must have an appointed time. There must be a time of manifestation. So if you're going to be a billionaire, there is going to be the day that you clock billionaire. And then from there, you set another goal based on another vision. Even the Bible says we know in parts, which means as we go along in the journey, we have better understanding. We're more open. Our minds take in more. We're more expansive. We're more receptive. We're more intuitive. All those things, and we start to attract more and more and more. And that opens you up to more. So there is no way on earth that your vision should not be time bound. It must be time bound. Time bound in the sense of its manifestation. And then when it's manifested, then you have even more vision ahead of you, or more clarity, because vision is about what I see. So you get more clarity about what you see, and obviously it expands your goals, the goals that you set for yourself. So whatever you see now, as far as you can see, that's it. You got to speak about that. That's number one. Okay. um should I go on?
powerful, powerful. Go on.
Okay. So I'm not going to give it in any real order right now. I'm just going to
Just
talk,
yeah, yeah,
but some might be before some. So
yeah.
announcing is important. The other is celebrate at every introduction or opportunity. You have to have the spirit of gratitude and celebration, celebrating others, celebrating yourself. You have to find opportunities to celebrate. It is very, very important. I mean, celebration is so. I mean, it's so important because Number one, first, celebration brings people together. And when it brings people together, it gives you visibility, right? Because if you're in the midst of those people, all right? And gratitude is one thing that is magnetic, because like I had a session with a lady. She used to be the minister of tourism in Saint Martin in the Caribbean, and she talks about gratitude. And she was saying the state of being of gratitude is the state of being in which, because you're grateful for one thing, right? God, you know, is more averse to giving you more things to be grateful for. And that's so easy for us to understand, because just like your child, if you have a child who is always grateful, I mean, you don't even give him much. He just comes, I'm just happy that you're home. I'm just grateful that you gave me that, you won't go home thinking, you would always, oh my God, I want to give this child more to be grateful for. Yeah, it is very important to be very grateful. And that gratitude is you want to showcase it in celebration. So celebrate at every introduction or opportunity that you have. You need to celebrate with others, celebrate with yourself. Grow in the midst of powerful and knowledgeable people. You have
Sorry,
to pick.
let me piggyback on this idea of celebration. I think it's
Okay.
also very, very important. Sometimes we don't get to manifest even with the affirmations because we want to manifest a thing. We are
Mhm.
probably affirming it, repeating it. It doesn't manifest because we see other people that are already there, that already have that thing that we want. And instead of celebrating them, we are envious of them, right? We
Yes,
are
yes.
envious of them. We are jealous of them. We are saying unwholesome things about them, terrible things
Mm-hmm.
about them. That stops manifestation. And I think that is why it's important to learn to celebrate others, so that as you celebrate, I mean, it doesn't make sense that you want to be a millionaire, but you're always talking ill of millionaires. Uh,
Absolutely.
somebody said money has ears.
Exactly. He heard what you said the last time.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes,
Your
so
video
that's.
is off right now,
Oh,
but
my
I don't
video is
know.
off. Okay, just
You
one
are
second. I
you are
think I
it's
a
blacked
call
out.
came through. All
All
right.
right. Okay.
Okay. All right. So what's the other one now? Okay, so I said the third one is grow in the midst of powerful and knowledgeable people. Surround yourself with the right kind of people, the right mindset. Powerful people, people that think like where you're going. All right. People that have a name, a powerful name.
Mhm.
People that are not going to be envious or try to stifle you. um, um, they're not going to be envious of your position or where you're going. They're not going to belittle your efforts nor your ambitions. They're not going to be like, well, what do you need all that for? I mean, when is it going to be enough? you know all those kind of things. So
Money
uh,
is evil.
money is evil,
Power
but
is
they need
fleeting.
power. Exactly. There is everything in life is a function of who's holding it.
Mhm,
you know I was reading the book by Allen, As a Man Thinketh
mhm.
in his heart.
James Allen.
As a
Yeah.
man, yeah, James Allen. And he was just talking about the fact that, you know um it really depends on your thoughts. You manifest your thoughts. All
Mhm,
right. And when you manifest your thoughts, um that becomes who you are. All
mhm,
right.
mhm,
So whatever, who, if you give power to someone who's thinking evil, he's only going to manifest his thoughts on a daily basis. So that's
Mhm.
another thing. You have to mind your thoughts. And that's why it's important to be around the right set of people, because they speak to you consciously or unconsciously, whether
Mhm.
you like it or not. All
Mhm.
right. They're speaking into your spirit every day. They're speaking into your spirit every day. All right. Sometimes it could even be not it, sometimes it might not even be words, but just the aura, you, because you're a spirit being, so you pick the aura. You can see when people are not really accepting what you're doing, and that in many ways can stifle your, even if it doesn't snuff the life out of it, but it could really make the growth uh, the growth a more painful and stressful process. All right. um can I go on, or you want to add something there?
No, I think it's powerful. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Oh, so sorry. Let me give you a thought just came to mind. Not a thought, actually, an anecdote, not personal,
okay.
but I once listened to Miles Monroe of blessed
Mm-hmm.
memory. He
Yes.
was talking about. He was giving an illustration about. He once. He said he hated golf, right? He didn't like golf. Nothing interested him in golf, and
Mm.
so he had a friend that would always pressurize. Let's go for golf. He would say no, no. He would just shove it. No, and the guys would say let's go for golf. So out of that, like nagging, one day he
Mm-hmm.
just to satisfy his friend, but he had been praying in his heart that he wanted to be a millionaire, even confessing it and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but this day, just to satisfy his friend, he decided to
Mm-hmm.
follow his friend to go for golf, for golfing. So when they went for golfing, and he said he saw people, and he started. They started teaching him how to play golf, and everyone there was like a senior executive or a CEO of what. And when they introduced themselves, he was like, "You are this and this." And he said after that day, on their way home, he told his friend, I don't there is no sport
I
I
don't
like
think
like
so.
golf. I love golf.
I love golf.
He said,
In
I
fact,
mean, golf is the best sport. Why didn't you tell me that
about golf.
golf golf is the best sport for that? I mean, if I can meet this, that
Oh,
is what I want to be. The caliber of people that
yes,
play golf, that is what I want to be. So
that's
he
where
said
I want
from
to
that
be.
day, he started playing golf more than his friend, and that was how, and he said that his playing golf actually catapulted him into that realm that he was affirming for many years. He didn't even, when his friend was suggesting that, of course his friend didn't know what his personal affirmations were, and he too didn't know that that was the point of entry into this realm
Into
of
this,
associating with. He
absolutely.
was just affirming this, but he didn't really get to meet people of that caliber, people that were thinking that way. But
Mm-hmm.
golf just introduced him to those people, and before he knew it, he was giving seminars to these people, connecting, going to their companies, and in just a matter of time, he also was like them. And he said one
Absolutely.
thing with that, we going
Mm-hmm.
for that type of place is that when you go, everybody assumes you are the same.
Then you're the same. Nobody,
Yeah, so
nobody,
this
nobody knows if you
nobody
don't have,
knows. The
even
fact
if you
that
don't
you
have
can
a dime
come,
in your pocket. The fact
the
that
fact,
you're in there.
and they just freely talk to you like one of them.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
that has a way of just switching you up. You too find yourself talking like that. And if you talk
Like,
it and feel it, you manifest it.
you manifest it. So and to buttress on that point, you can see that there is an intentional, it's not enough to just say, okay, well, the thing about connection, about finding connection, or uh, um it in many ways it has been it has been abused. When I say abused, in the sense of, or let me not use the word abused, but it's been misunderstood and misused. So people now think, okay, like in Nigeria, people say, "Oh, do you have connections? Do you, they say it in a more
Derogatory way.
derogative way that now becomes a thing for people to just think that, oh, I just want to. They have no interest in the other person. All they want is what they want from that person. That's not a healthy. That's not a healthy relationship.
Mhm, mhm,
You really have to genuinely want to have personal connections with
mhm,
people,
mhm,
because as the one thing you must understand is people with a powerful name obviously become powerful people, and as a powerful leader, and obviously become a leader, as we spoke about yesterday. As a leader, if you want to be a good leader, you must be someone who really genuinely cares to listen, to understand, and to constantly learn. So you never see yourself too big to learn from anybody,
mhm,
or too important to connect and learn from the other person.
mhm,
So already that puts you in a place of humility and kindness, and that place of knowing that as a leader, you, as someone who wants to go far in life, you never stop learning. You never stop learning. You just keep learning. All right. And now, if you keep learning, you would have this. You would understand that each person you meet knows something more than you. All right. Like we mentioned in our session today, we had a session, a lunchtime session on Facebook, and we were talking about the fact that there is everybody has we were talking about people not feeling like I'm an expert. Um so they don't think I'm an expert, they think it's the other person who's an expert. You're an expert at something. There's something
mhm.
that you definitely know or can do more than me, even if it is as simple as you know how to wear lipstick perfectly, or you know how to wipe out a makeup best in the world. That is necessary, because if you don't know how to wipe up makeup and you sat on YouTube, I would say you are not an expert.
Hey, Mary.
Hi. 1 second.
Mm.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. Do you
Hello.
remember where you stopped?
I hope so. I think you were saying something.
Was I? Oh, you were. I think you were.
Okay, but I know we were talking about let me see. I know I was we were talking about, I think you were, okay, I think I was talking about the third one. Okay, yes, we were talking about golf. Now I remember. And yes, then I remember I was saying, yes, I was talking about being intentional in terms of making connections. Just like your anecdote, basically, where you talked about Miles Monroe realizing that he is in the midst of the people that he needs to be around or needs to be with, or you know, just like we're talking about being in the midst of people that would promote your cause, or in terms of mindset. Yeah, so you have to be intentional about finding the right mix of people. Um, and that might mean that you would lose some friends. You would have to lose some friends to gain some, because, like they say, you can't put new wine in an old wineskin. So you kind of have to shade yourself. So don't feel bad about it, because I think one of the things that really hold people back in terms of moving on with the right kind of connection that is suitable for where they're going is the heartbreak they feel for other people, not for themselves, but more for, oh, we've been friends for 20 years. And you know how they make you feel bad about it. Like, who are you? What do you think? Is it because you are, listen, I've come to understand that friendships and relationships are sometimes for just a season. And no hurt intended, but it is just for a season. It's not every relationship that you're going to carry on or carry over. So it's just kind of understanding that, and being able to manage the different kinds of relationships that you're going to have on your way to the top. And then obviously the ones that, I think you need to just categorize your relationships and really be clear and understand where those relationships fit, and when they're needed in the sense that, assuming, okay, so I'll give you an example so that this can be clearer. So assuming I need to go do some mix up, like you talked about golfing. There is a lady friend who we're coming together to partner for a project. And whilst we're talking, I realized she does golf. And she said to me, you know what, I think golf will fit you. And she was speaking in terms of, I love, she just sees me as somebody who would love that kind of sport. And I told her, I think so. Why? Because I used to be a long distance runner. So I'm very
Really?
good with anything that, yeah, anything that is endurance, nothing sprint. I don't sprint. I hate jogging even, but I can walk from here to, that was before. Now I'm a little unfit, but, but I guess if I get myself back as I'm working out and getting myself back to my position before, I literally can, I can go 10 miles a day in a day and not even feel it. All right. So yeah, so she was like, so I said, yes, I think so, because as a long distance runner and somebody who does more endurance kind of um uh, uh exercise or trainings in exercise, I think that it will work for me. And she invited me over and said, okay, you know what, I think you should join me in my golf course. I said, okay, I would work my schedule for that. Now, Now, going there, I know that it's not just, I'm not just interested in the exercise, which I know is important, and I would love, because I love anything that pushes my endurance level. But I also understand the game of golf. It's a game where you find people that uh, that can go through that endurance, because I guess there is something that attracts them. There is a mindset that attracts all these types of people to that game. All right. And that's because it's a game of endurance. It's a game of the mind. All right. And so anyways, so to score on the point I was talking about, so assuming I have friends who don't understand what I'm trying to achieve, or don't care about what I'm trying to achieve, if I took them to that kind of situation, they might find it boring. They might find it, like, what are we doing here? Can we just go? Can we, they'll distract you. All right. And either you get irritated with them because you're trying to achieve something, or they get irritated with you because you look selfish. You're just enjoying yourself. They don't see why they're with you at that point. All right. You don't need to create such, so in that situation, that that type of friend does not fit that type of outing, or that type of gathering, etc. So the place to have your friendship with that kind of person. Maybe the person prefers where you go out for tea and just talk about nothing. Oh well, if you're in that mood, maybe you carry that friend around.
Mhm.
So that's just to score on that point.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. So we'll move to the next point. Um, Seize the opportunity to give value. Always seize the opportunity to give value. Um, there, we were talking about yesterday that there's poverty of the mind as well. All right. And then you also do find people that are rich but not impactful. So they don't necessarily have a powerful name. All right. They seemingly, again, they seemingly have a powerful name. And so there is a seemingly powerful name, all right? Or I would say maybe a temporary powerful name. And that's where, when we talk about measuring your name, then you have understanding that you can have a name and you can lose it, all right? And case in point will be a lot of politicians that don't do right. So at the time that they're in office, because they are in an office that has a name, all right, so they are actually basking in the name and the glory of that position. But the moment they are yanked out of that position or removed from that position, because they didn't seize the opportunity to give value, they didn't grow their name either. So once they come out of it, they don't have a name. So that's why I say they seemingly having a name. Because sometimes you are, and it happens to, even like I talked about, people in employment, all right, where whilst you are employed in a company, all right, you are basking in the glory and the position that you are in that business or in that company. So everywhere you go, you have access, the door is open for you and all that. But the minute you leave that company, you become a nobody.
Hmm.
You see what I mean? You
Mhm.
become a nobody because it wasn't your name. It wasn't your name that you built. And I'm not saying that because the company, you were working for the company, you were building the company's name. No, the company has built its name. Even if you help the company to build its name, that's great. But if you understand what it takes to build your own name, even when you leave that company, you will still be valuable because you were a person of impact.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're a person of impact. So even if you were the governor today and tomorrow you're no longer the governor, is that my friend? So and you are and you're no longer the governor, all right, people will still honor and respect you, because when you had the opportunity, you seized the opportunity to give value.
Mhm.
When you were working, when you were in a position in in a company that gave you honor and glory, right, you seized the opportunity to be helpful to many people. So the day you're no longer working for that company and maybe you want to join the entrepreneurship bandwagon, you don't fall flat on your face and start from the bottom, because you built a name for yourself where people can recognize, oh, is that not, oh no, we can't let him start from the beginning. We've got to help him. We've got to, you know what I mean? So that's one of the ways that you create a name for yourself, all right, by seizing the opportunity to always give value, to be of great impact to people around you.
Awesome.
You want to add something to that, or you're great?
No, no, I think, I usually, so even my kids, I teach them some of these things. I tell them, do you know what's the secret to being great? They be like, you know, as kids do. And I teach them from this young age that the secret to greatness is service.
Yeah.
It's service. You have to serve. You know, the problem with people want names. I mean, even if the people that pretend as if they don't care for names, people want to have name,
They want,
but people don't want to serve, right?
yes, they
When
don't want to pay the
people don't want to
price.
serve, people just think that is some kind of magic formula, some abracadabra, or some kind of, you
Hmm.
just find yourself there. No, you have to serve. You have to serve
Yeah.
humanity. And it is by serving humanity. If I serve you, Mary,
Hmm.
there is a way, I am also expanding my, my influence. And I
Absolutely.
serve someone, and I work with you. You know somebody so influential that I may not be able to get through. But
To
by
reach.
serving you, I would be, when I ask you, give me, can you connect me? You say, sure. You just
Sure.
connect me with that person, and vice versa. And
Absolutely.
that is how you build network and you become great. So I think this thing you're saying is very important. It's just that people feel that names fall from the sky, unless if you are lucky. I don't even like the word lucky. Sometimes I wish it would be taken out of the dictionary. But
I
let's
don't
say,
even think there's anything like lucky.
let's
There
say you are
isn't,
lucky. You're lucky to be the son, to be born, to be the
but
child of
somebody
pro.
paid a price for it.
That's what I'm saying. That's
So
very true.
someone
That's
paid a price. Somebody
that's
paid a
very true.
price. You know,
So yeah. So
when I gave the example of saying that we have access to God because somebody else paid the price, because
that's
Jesus
true.
paid the price.
That's true.
So many times people have the advantage or are able to get the benefit of what somebody else paid for. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're not in that position, or even if you're in that position, you want to expand on the name.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to expand on it. You want to go from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
All
You
right,
don't want
because
it.
they would,
You don't want the
yeah,
name to die in your
to
hand.
die up. Yes, you don't want the name to die in your hand. So you need to, where the person stopped, you can increase it even furthermore. You can do a lot more by being even more valuable, you know, and following the person's steps, or at least even doing much better
Mm-hmm.
than the person did. So yes, it's very important for people to understand that they have to serve, they have to be seize the opportunity to give value at every point. All right, you want
Mm-hmm.
me to go on?
Sure.
Okay, I think I have a few more points. Okay, so there was something that came to mind when you were speaking. So you were saying people think that names drop. That is one of the reasons why I keep using Jesus as the big example. All
Mm-hmm.
right, because I mean, when you consider, especially if you're a Christian, the moment you consider that even Jesus, all right, then you will now understand that even Jesus had to serve. It
That was
was
what he said. He said,
yes,
the Son of Man
I'm
did
the
not
least
come to
of
be
all,
served, but to serve
but to serve.
and give himself.
Yes. So that's why I love most
And
of the
you, yeah,
yeah,
you
go ahead.
also remember at one occasion when his disciples were scrambling for power, and
Mm-hmm.
James and John, those two brothers, the sons of thunder, came to him.
Mm-hmm.
Their mother actually came, pleading that one should see that Jesus is right hand and the other.
And then the other
And Jesus said, well, he that wants to be the greatest
great
among you must be the
must be the
servant,
least, yeah, must be
must
the
be the
servant.
servant of all.
Yeah.
If you don't serve, and you also remember practically how he washed his disciples' feet.
Faith, yeah.
So, I mean, those are examples. The examples to becoming great are very, everything is clear. It's just that people always want to do it the opposite, the other way. They want to, if my target, right, if I want to dine with kings, if I want to start relating with presidents, right, to
Mm.
have dinners with president, it can happen, right?
Yeah.
But I don't sit down here and say, just take the by the way, I once did that anyway. I once from nowhere just wrote some prominent person a letter expecting a reply. He was the serving president of a great nation.
Uh-huh.
But you don't do that. You don't do that type of approach. You start
Yeah.
somewhere. You never know. You start by building bridges. You start by making connections. Don't look down on where you're starting from, right? They usually say never look down, never despise the days of
The days
little
of
beginnings,
little beginnings,
because you
yeah.
build it. It's like a ladder. You are climbing. Before you know it,
You
like
are at the top.
this guy will say, what's his name? How will I forget his name? Not
Who's
Jim
that?
Rohn, the other one. Um,
Is what, a musician or
no, not Jim Rohn. One of
oh,
these. He's dead now. Anyway, if I say the word, you know who I'm referring to. He said,
yeah.
the one that wrote "See you at the top."
Oh, okay. Oh, no, the name is, oh, let me see if I
I don't
can
know why his name is disappearing.
from
Is
your mind.
Yeah. Anyway, as he says, um, if you want to get to the top, you have to climb the ladder.
The ladder, yes,
You
yes.
have to start somewhere, and uh, I must see Zig Ziglar.
Oh, Zig Ziglar. Yes,
Yeah, Zig Ziglar.
absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, so climbing, getting to the top, you have to start by serving. If you really want to build a name for yourself, you just have to be humble enough and
Mm.
serve.
And,
I don't
and
know.
and really and really service is not something that is it's not servant.
No,
It's
it's
not
not like
servant.
it's not
It's not
slavery.
slavery. It's not servant.
Mhm.
Because I think there is that, that closeness
Yeah,
where
people
people
give
start
it
to
a
think
very
in their mind,
negative.
I'm not your servant. I'm not your
Yeah,
servant.
it's
Like, I'm not
that
your
negative.
slave.
Yeah,
Yes.
connotation. No.
Yeah. Service is about giving value. Like, what do you need?
Mm-hmm,
What do you
mm-hmm,
need and how can I help you?
mm-hmm,
All right.
mm-hmm,
And the moment you tell somebody, I can help you, that if you know a great man, every big man, every great man, any powerful person has a need. And you'd be surprised how much they don't have what all that they need.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
All right.
mm-hmm,
And because they don't have that, and that might just be your divine opportunity to access them.
mm-hmm.
And the moment you are able to provide something as little or as much value of which they're requiring at that point, you've gotten in,
That's true.
and you're in. All right.
Mm-hmm,
So you have to seize every and I want I want people to be authentic. Motive matters. All right. So if I'm just trying to get to you so I can get what I can get and run away and all those kind of things, it's not wrong for me to want something from you and have a strategy to reaching you and getting that. But I must understand the place of having relationships. All right, I must understand the place of being able to connect with someone and really connect, really care to connect with a person. All right. So it's that authenticness that allows that relationship to blossom. It doesn't mean that I have to talk to you every minute, but people sense it. People sense when you're being real.
That's true.
And when you're just trying to manipulate them so that you can get what you want. So no manipulation, guys.
It gives you, yeah, I give you, I don't know whether you know the guy named Dan Lok.
Yes, Dan Lok, the Singaporean guy. So,
yeah,
oh, sorry, he's in Canada.
Yeah, the Chinese Canadian.
Chinese Canadian.
Yeah. So he gave an example with very famous. You know, he can be a little bit radical, but I love him.
I love him.
He says it as it is.
As it is.
So he once gave an example with, you know, he said when he was, you know, trying to have a name and you know, and he didn't know what to do. And one day he just decided, well, he will start cutting people's grass. They were very poor here, his mom. And he just got a mower and he put ads, you know, here is a grass, whatever, call this number. Nobody ever called him. So one day he just decided, you know what, I'm going to take this mower and just go cut grass. So he just went and saw there was this beautiful mansion, but the grass had actually grown. And he just went in. He didn't know who the owner of the house was. He just started. He said, well, I know that's illegal, but he just started cutting grass. And by the time he was almost done, this lady came back, and she came and she parked the car, and she was like, is this my house? He said he made sure that he cut that grass. It was so neat.
Real good.
And she was like, really? Is this my house? And she said, come here. Who are you? And he said, well, I'm just a young man trying to make ends meet, and I'm just trying. And she said, you are like God sent. You know what? My husband traveled to Europe for a couple of months now. He's the one who usually arranges these things. I don't know who to contact. So the grass has been growing. It's like, you know, you are like, God sent this and that, but why? How did you have the courage? She said, I've just got to do what I've got to do. I just felt, I know it's risky, but I would just do this. He said, ordinarily, if you were to pay for cutting that grass, that may be like $20 or so at that point. But the lady just went in and brought $100 and gave it to him and was like, you know what? From today, just come cut grass anytime.
Anytime you want.
your check will be waiting for you. And he said that was how he started his business. That was literally how he had like the startup capital to do something. Why? Because he served. He was willing to serve.
He was
he didn't even know these people. He wasn't trying to. He just did it. If they pay me, fine. Nobody is going to tell me to take their grass back anyway. But if they pay, fine. If they don't pay, but I'm just going to serve them. And that service ended up being very fruitful. And people don't understand this. You know, little secrets. Service is a very powerful thing. It's just that in our day, everyone has given it a bad name. When you say service, people are like, service. I'm not your slave.
Well, the thing is, if somebody even has to tell you to serve, then that's when it becomes a problem, because at that point, it's like servanthood, because you're being told, you know. But if you're the one who's offering off of your gift, and I'll give you a story. When I was, I think I was about 16 or so, and a friend of mine, when I was 16 years.
No, I mean, you mean you are more than 16 now?
You know, no, I'm somewhere like 4 years after.
Don't mind me.
That's like 4 years later. But anyways, when I was about 16, I was in university, and my and a friend of mine who then worked in the radio station. He was quite popular in the radio station, and we were just having a conversation, and he just said, you know what, every time I listen to you, your voice is like, it's like music in my ears. I just think that you can do a lot with your voice, and I said, really? He said, I think you belong in the radio. And I said, really? As in, I never even thought about it. I just,
Hmm.
I
Hi, Mary. Uh-oh.
Hi. I envy you right now. You never have any problems.
Well, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. You never have any internet problems. Like I have to keep switching off and switching on and doing all kinds of acrobatics.
I know.
Anyways, so
I
no
love
problem.
your resilient spirit.
I'm telling you.
Maybe we should try to wrap it up in the next 10 minutes so that
Yes,
you'll go
yes,
have rest.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I can get some, but I think my points are really, I'm really left with just a few more points.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're talking about knowledge. Okay, then, yeah, so I was talking about the service thing.
You
So,
were talking about, we stopped where you were talking about the guy meeting you in the university and saying
yes,
your
I
voice.
should go work. Yes, work in a radio station.
Mhm.
So I asked him, okay, how does it work? But you know what? I mean, maybe at that age or anything, but it never occurred to me to even go work for money. It didn't even hit me like, oh, what an opportunity to go and work for the radio and become famous and have so much money. And it didn't hit me. I was just excited about the fact that I could use. I mean, this first of all, this was a talent that I didn't even understand that I had. Anyways, fast forward, I went over to see the general manager. He told me just walk to the general manager and tell him that you would love to work on the radio station. I worked on that radio station. I created my own program called Portrait of Life. I worked on that radio station for about 3 years before I ever earned money. 3 years.
Hmm.
I was going to the radio station from my school. So the resources that I had to go to school, I had to split it into two to transport myself of my own resources. I mean, my dad supported me, so I would go to school. So, like the excess money I would have had from what I was given, I would have used it for my personal whatever, but I had to sacrifice it to use it to go to do research, to find music. In those days, there was no online music. You had to go find the cassettes, and the music, and then so you can create it into your program. All
Hmm.
right. It wasn't as easy as today that you can. So I had to go find DJs. I had to do a lot of research. And in those days, you have to write out your script. I had to spend time going to school and yet writing scripts that were approved every day for nothing. I wasn't being paid, but I gave value for 3 years. And after 3 years, they employed me and
Hmm.
started paying me peanuts, though. But I mean, they eventually even thought of employing me. That was the first job I mean, I worked before then. I worked for my dad before then, but that was the first job outside of maybe working for my parents that I did, and I
Hmm.
didn't earn anything.
Hmm.
Now, this same module of service was what got me into the big job that I got, which I talked about the other time. I went out to help. I went out to give value, and they said, "Oh my God, this is the best board pack they've ever seen." And boom, I got a job. I've never been interviewed for a job ever in my life. Never. I
Wow.
don't know what it means to sit in a boardroom and they'll say, "Okay, give us your CV and tell us what."
Hmm.
My value was constantly appreciated. By the time I left that company, and I'm not saying this, I mean, you could think I'm bragging or anything, whoever, but that's not what is important. It's about getting the understanding of what we're talking about here. Um, when I let when I whilst I was working, this is the power of value. Because of the value that I gave whilst working in that company, even after I got the job, I unfortunately had a motor accident that landed me in hospital for 1 year. Seth, I was paid a salary for 12 months while I slept in hospital. For 12
Hmm.
months, this company paid my salary.
Wow, that's so rare.
They paid my salary
Hmm.
constantly. I didn't have to ask. It was like nobody could even touch it because the directors were like, Mary, she's getting paid. And when I came back from the hospital, my job was sitting waiting for me. Someone was put there, whilst I was away. But as soon as 1 year, all right. Now, I didn't have the accident on my way to work, so it had nothing to do with work. Work wasn't responsible for it, but they took responsibility because they saw the value that I brought on the table. You understand? That's the power of giving value at any time. Now, whilst I was working in that company, there was another company that was in the same premise, in the same building, and the CEO noticed how much I put into that company, even when I didn't have a boss sitting in front of me. All my bosses were in South Africa, in Kenya, in different other parts of the world, and they were always traveling. So I never had a boss sitting in front of me and telling me what to do and everything. Yet I was at work on time. I was the last person to leave the office. I left the office 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Nobody had to tell me to do that. I didn't have a boss in front of me. And they were not monitoring me with any cameras. Nothing, nada. All right. And he noticed how much, and one day it was a Saturday and those days of Skype, and he saw me on Skype and said, "I bet you at work." I laughed. I said, "Yes, sir. I'm at work." He chatted me up because we had common friends. He was friends with my director. So sometimes we had lunch together and everything. So he knew me. He said, "I bet you at work. I can see you on Skype." I said, "Yes, sir. I'm at work." He said, "Oh my God, how many people are there like you?" Because, anyways, bottom line, he said to me, "If you ever needed a job in your entire life, please think about me first." I wish I kept that Skype message. Please think about me first. And I tell you, said the day I decided that I was leaving that company, I don't know who told him, how he got to know, but it was 24 hours after my resignation. He called me. "I heard you resign." I'm like, who's the parrot around here? All right. And I got a job. And he hired me in his company. I was in that company. He was a Canadian. He was Canadian, Hong Kong Canadian, and there were lots of. So basically, he hired me in his company, and I was I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm here.
here.
You're
Okay.
back. Today
Yeah.
today has been
Today is, oh
quite a
my
session.
God. What? Power outage. Oh my
Yeah.
God, everything. But
And
it's
you have,
okay.
and guess what? Today you have a lot of anecdotes without even me asking you for. And
I'm telling you.
when you're telling me the anecdotes, that's when
That's when it goes off. But
please you
anyways,
need
I'll just
you
quickly end this.
yeah, finish that anecdote you were saying about this guy,
Yeah,
this
so I was
Canadian.
I'm just saying that. So I got on my next job with no interview, and I was the only black person in the I was the only black person employed on that level in that company. And guess what? Guess what? I wasn't up to 25.
Wow. Wow.
I wasn't up to. So the point is, the more you give value, all right, the more you give value, like I said, at least I'm telling you, I never got one job because I was interviewed. I was never interviewed for a job. I don't know what it means to be interviewed for a job. I was always offered a job, or rather I offered myself and I worked, and then later on they saw value and they got me in. And since after I did that once, everybody has been seeing value, from one value to the other value, etc. So it is important. It's important for us to understand that to create a powerful name, you can't do that without giving value. Like Grant Cardone always says, he says, you can be rich, but if you're not visible and impactful, if you're not visible, you can't be impactful. So of course you need to be visible. You need to be visible. You need to share value, right? Because that's when you are different from just being rich. Remember, this is not about being just rich. This is about being powerful to make an impact, to make a great impact. All right. And then, of course, we've talked about the advantages of that already. Now, I think my last point for today would be, I've got more here. Okay, I said more opportunities. Sorry, let me just quickly. Okay, so I said pass down knowledge. Did I say that already? Pass
No.
down knowledge. Yes. So the next one will be share knowledge with authority. All right. So you need to be confident, have confidence in yourself, and share the knowledge that you have in a very authoritative way. And that's one of the fastest way of being, and that's where personal branding comes in. All right. Because people will listen to you when they trust you. So at the beginning, you may not be getting the kind of traction that you imagine, and you're wondering, why is this guy saying, I mean, there was something you said the other day, somebody can come and be the wisest guy in the room, giving you all the, the intelligent points, but because he's a nobody listens to him. But another guy comes and spews out something less or about the same maybe, and everybody's clapping like, oh my God, everybody's writing in the room. It's a psychological thing. They trust that person and they don't trust this person. So for you to build trust, you have to build your personal brand, and it does take time. So don't I wouldn't say people should not don't hit on yourself too hard when it seems like it's growing slowly. People are listening to you. Trust me, people are listening. People are watching. All right, people are watching. Sometimes when I do,
and they are paying attention.
and they're paying attention. Sometimes
They may not even comment, right?
They won't come.
And that is one
you.
thing. That is one thing I tell people, that you just have to become friends with vulnerability, right? You can't build a brand or a name without being vulnerable. Yesterday also, you talked about putting yourself out there. You can't, there is no way to do it than just putting yourself out there and being vulnerable, right? We live in this social media space that even if you post a thing, the next minute you want to see how many likes, how many comments. If you go by that, if you go by that, you're gonna die.
You're not gonna
because
do any,
a lot of people are actually watching. They will never comment, they will never like, but they are watching. They are paying attention. They are paying attention. So if you are deceived by who is commenting and who is liking and what have you, then you will be discouraged.
Yeah.
I
always think about it this way.
By the way, before you say that, how did I know you? It was through social media. I just watched you and I was like, oh, the first time I watched your content online, and I was like, but this lady is giving value, and she's giving not just value, but she's doing it in a professional way. Why are people not paying attention? And I started following you immediately and that was why I was like, hey, I would love to interview you. And I just took the phone from your page. I never asked anybody the phone from your page, and I contacted you, and look at us today. So people are paying, you never know if you are paying attention to all these social media algorithms and all these other things. You're gonna lose out, because if you want your video to be viewed 1 million times, sorry, it may not, because you don't have the name, right? But the only way to get to 1 million is to start by one view.
Keep up.
One view at a time. Tomorrow it may be 10, Don't compare yourself
Exactly.
with people that have been there for 10
For
years.
10 years.
Yeah, you know.
By the time you contacted me, I probably had only done 2 months, 2.5 months
Mhm.
of content, two and a
Wow.
half months of content. And I can tell you how many people I have met just in 2 months. I reconnected with some friends that I haven't, they saw me online. I was like, oh my God, I know her. And we reconnected. And these are powerful people. And I met you, and then I met Stephen. I've met so many people. I've met some amazing
Same
human
here.
beings
Same
just
here.
because I decided to become vulnerable and become visible and give more value. All right. And one of the things that
Maybe
I
one of the
learned.
points, maybe one of the points you just mentioned that we need to maybe make it a subtopic is be we need to talk about vulnerability, be
Mhm.
vulnerable, and we also need to talk about visibility.
Oh no, visibility
I'm just
is,
saying it here so that it will be
yeah,
captured
yes,
in the. We
captured.
need to
Okay,
talk
yes,
about
yes.
a subtitle of
Vulnerability.
vulnerability. Be ready to be vulnerable and to be seen, and also we
Yes.
talk about that visibility aspect of
Visibility.
yeah.
Yes, and building your personal brand.
Mhm.
Now, um, um, okay, so I was going to say that one of the things that I put in my head was, look, even if it was one person, and
Even if it
Jesus
was a
said,
self.
yeah. Even if it was a step, even if that's all it linked me to, right?
Mhm.
Now, and I really love God's word because it's the principles of life. If you
Mhm.
really, really look at it,
Mhm.
if we follow the Bible and follow what God says, it's amazing how we would have such a stressless life. All right. If only, I mean, God gives us the grace to really have understanding, and Holy Spirit gives us wisdom to really grasp and walk in that way. Now, even Jesus said, even if it was one person, he will still come to die. Even if it was one person, that's all.
Mhm.
That's how much love should be in our hearts for people, for someone else, that it shouldn't matter, because every other thing is a vanity. It's more for our self accolades and all that. Oh, look, I have 3 million views. I mean, those are awesome. You would get
Mhm.
to it if it's important for you, but hey, it might not be so
You
important.
never know. You never know. You may have somebody may have a video that is watched 10 million times, and everyone is just watching for 15 seconds and skipping, and it's recording that is a watch, right?
And it's
And
not even been monetized.
it's not monetized, no call for action. It doesn't translate
Nothing
into anything.
into anything.
Somebody may put a video out there that will be watched only 10 times, and guess what? One person will watch that, and that will be the game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about it. Mary gave birth to one child. I mean, she had other children after, but she gave birth to one child. All right. And that child was what? The savior
It's,
of the
mhm,
entire world.
mhm.
Right. She didn't need any other child after that. I mean, geez, man. So always think about it in the sense of, we need to always think about it in the sense of, um, the love in your heart to help one person,
Hmm,
and then that how that one person now can multiply.
hmm,
You understand?
hmm.
There's my pastor, Paul Jefferson. He always talks about the person that brought him to Christ, and he's not a
I
big
know, I
preacher.
know, I now understand why. Continue.
He
if you have
always talks
if you
about.
have Pastor Adeferosin as a pastor, that's a lot of
So
value. That's a lot of contents there.
hello. Sorry, I lost you for a second. You said
No,
that's
no,
a
no.
lot of what?
I was just kidding you. I just said if you have Pastor Adeferosin as your pastor, that's a lot of value and content there, free of charge.
Oh, tell me, for almost how many years? For more than almost. Yeah, for almost 2 decades.
Wow.
All
Wow.
right.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so we have to really look at as important, like really being able to share your value authoritatively. All right, stand by your confidence, and don't, it don't matter, you know, you'd grow this. Remember, with this whole thing is about growth,
Mm-hmm.
growing. It's
Mm-hmm.
about creating, growing, building. It's not about it's not about being there already. Okay. I don't know if I have more now.
If you have more, if you
We can
you
do that later,
you can, no, I mean, you can just read it, so that we just capture it in
so
the
that we
video. We
just
can
capture it in video.
develop. You can develop it later. Yeah.
Okay,
Even
experience,
one
have
sentence
a,
would be fine.
okay, have a real source empowered. Okay, why didn't Jesus know with authority? So I remarked here, why did Jesus preach with authority and the scribes did not? All right, so that's just to give an example.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Jesus
Mm-hmm.
preached, the Bible says that he preached with authority. That means he believed in what he believed and knew that it was powerful, that what the content that he was giving was truth, was real, was powerful. He believed in it. All right, and that's what gave him the authority. Believe in yourself, believe in your content, believe that what you're putting out there would save and help somebody. It will be beneficiary for somebody, and that somebody might just be a multiplying effect, multiplier effect. Like I was talking about Pastor Paul's, the person that brought him to Christ is not a preacher, was just a guy that spoke to him. But look at how many people that Pastor Paul himself have
Mm-hmm.
now multiplied,
Mm-hmm.
which is counted for, you know, which is counted for the things that he um, um, I mean, the guy that got him into, the guy that preached to him basically is
Mm-hmm.
going to count for him. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So, so if you look at that, so that was in, okay, share value, fulfill purpose. So share value, fulfill purpose. Mark 128, news about him grew quickly. So I'm talking about the fact that the more Jesus shared value, shared his content, shared the message in Mark 128, it says news about him spread quickly um, through the region and then to Galilee. So when you do that, more opportunities will come. More opportunities would come for you to keep sharing that value. I think that's really it. Yeah, that's that. I mean, if we have more content, if I get, of definitely I'm going to get more content, and I could
No,
add
I
that.
mean, this
I
was
can
good.
send that to you.
Aside from all the technical glitches, but this was good. We made it.
Oh yes, we made it. And thank you for sticking by and
No,
just watching Nigeria from a distance.
I know. I know. Yeah. So tomorrow,
Oh,
yeah,
oh my
tomorrow,
god.
yeah, we can go off. I think
Yeah, okay.
can
Yeah.
end the
So
live.
but all right, so we're ending the live now. Take care.